Welcome back, everybody, to the ESL Hearthstone Legendary Series brought to you by Newegg.com. Our next series will be going over towards the bracket. For anybody who just tuned in, we had our first two series of the day. We had two pretty good matches. The first one was a stomp, but I really liked the diversity of decks that SilentStorm brought versus KXN. And then we just saw Xiao GZ being able to advance into the bracket. Connor eventually would be falling down to face SilentStorm. So we've got a pretty good mix of decks, and I'm pretty happy with how things turned out. People are responding really sharply to the Warlock nerf to Soulfire. Seems like two guys aren't going to even bring Warlock, while two guys felt like, you know what, maybe Warlock's still pretty good.
Yeah, and you really got to respect SilentStorm for trying to break things up a little bit. And he had some unfortunate circumstances in the first couple games where he just had terrible curves and was a couple turns away or even a turn away in some situations from being able to stabilize. But that just means that his decks can be really explosive moving on to these next series again. This is double elimination, so he still has opportunities, and we will still get to see his decks moving forward as well.
This is all for the opportunity to play in tomorrow's main event. We have 4 players that we invite. We have 2 players who qualified from previous weeks, which TJ was here casting along Milk. And then we have 2 players who qualify from this open finals. So we're going to have a winner between KXN and Xiao GZ, and then a second-place finisher in the group.
Yeah. So those invited players that we're going to see tomorrow, Ecop, Lothar, AP Drop, and Brian Kibler.
Oh, we were just going to announce it here. Okay, cool. Well, I wasn't sure if we were allowed to talk about it because I'm pretty excited to see these guys. And it should be a fun one because, everyone knows and loves Ecop and Lothar. That's right. Everyone loves Ecop. And AP Drop is an underground hipster hardcore player. Like if you know Hearthstone scene very in depth, like if you know who AP Drop is, bravo. You've been following Hearthstone for a long time.
Yeah.
And if you know Brian Kibler from Magic the Gathering or some of his famous blogs about Hearthstone, it's always going to be a pleasure to see him come on as an invite for that week and see what he can do.
Yeah.
And then we have the 2 players from previous weeks. We have Max and D2 who also performed very well at BlizzCon.
Yeah.
So we have a pretty good lineup of players, and I can't wait to see who's going to join them.
Yeah, and then, of course, we're going to see a lot more invited players the coming weeks. But back to today, we still have quite a few matches left to go here, quite a bit of Hearthstone action to go. I think we're going into the
lower bracket.
Bracket match.
Connor versus SilentStorm.
Yeah.
Now, this one's cool. Neither player, again, brought Warlock. We only have 1 Hunter. And instead, we have Mage, we have Shamans, we have Druids, we have Warriors. It's a really cool mix.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think we don't have in this entire top 4 is Paladin.
And Rogue.
And Rogue, that's right. But no one plays Rogue anymore because Auctioneer has been nerfed.
Yep. So Rogue doesn't exist right now.
Valera 2014.
Yeah, I think it'll make a comeback with a lot of the new cards. There'll be quite a bit of shakeups with Rogue as well.
I think aggressive Rogue will actually be so scary.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Tempo Rogue will be viable, but I have yet to figure out
Pirate Rogue?
You know, Pirates actually got a pretty decent card with the Pirate Cannon card.
Yeah.
I played around with it a little bit, and it's really fun.
Yeah. What about Salty Dog?
I've died to Salty Dog because I just didn't have any 4 damage. Because I only had like 2 damage creatures on it, and I hate it. It was like the worst feeling in the world. Because every time he attacks, he goes, "I'm so salty," and he attacks, and it's like, I can't believe I lost the 7/4 Core Hound.
Ecop tweeted it yesterday saying, "Oh, it's me in card form." No. It really does. It bears a striking resemblance to Ecop. The actual
I guess maybe the beard and the scruff and the hair color, but that's about it.
And the salty dog nature of
maybe
we
get to see the Salt Boys in full force again tomorrow, 10 a.m. PST on this channel. So make sure to hit the follow button and tune in tomorrow to see how that pans out. Remember, guys, this is all seeding into the top 8 finals in February 21st and 22nd here in Burbank, California for $20,000. If you want to try to compete in this cup, it's still possible. All you have to do is sign up at esl.gg/legendary series and sign up for the Challenger Cup on Sunday. If you get to the top 4, you'll be playing on the next Friday to challenge the following week. And boy, next week's going to be fun. We have GVG. We have a lot of great players invited for next week. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, definitely. And, I mean, this patch, though, or this tournament's going to round off sort of – this is the end of the non-GVG.
This is the end of the core set right here.
Yeah. So,
and we've even got a little fun tweak.
Yeah.
To Soulfire, Auctioneer, and Flare. We saw it play a little bit of an impact, but maybe it'll be more in this series. I think the first series of the day wasn't that much of an impact because Soulfire was still being played. But here we go, SilentStorm versus Connor to start things off. We have Druid versus Warrior. Now, last time we saw the Warrior player was Connor, and he held off Druid pretty well.
Yeah.
Can this switch over for SilentStorm? Because he hasn't won a game yet today, and I'm pretty sure he's looking to grab an important W here.
Yeah, and a little bit of a rough start here for both guys. Going to throw away most of their cards. We'll see what they end up with. Ooh, that's double Acolyte of Pain is definitely something, especially
With
against
the coin.
with the coin.
Do you ever throw away Acolyte of Pain, by the way? Like, someone asked me that question.
Against Druids, I throw away Acolyte of Pain a lot, actually.
You do?
Yeah. Just because sometimes, unless I have weapons. If I have weapons, it's a different story. But a lot of times I like to throw away for like a Death Bite or something. And Acolyte of Pain can be pretty good, especially if you can activate it with a Cruel Taskmaster early on. But a lot of the times it just draws out a Keeper, which I guess is a benefit in,
Sure.
in and
I
of
guess
itself.
Sylvanas doesn't
Yeah.
get Keepered, or your Sludge Belcher or something. A lot of times, Acolyte is just it's just way too valuable because of the ability for you to draw cards. But if it doesn't, then it becomes just like a 3-mana loot hoarder.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, actually this is just pretty useless.
Yeah.
Especially if your opponent runs Owls.
Yeah, and we know that Connor loves his Owls. 2 Owls in Warrior.
So you owl one, you kill the other, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or not.
Interesting. Oh, the sequence doesn't matter, really.
Yeah.
It's about the same.
Still going to draw 1 card regardless.
Yep, but the Acolyte effectively it effectively drew a card and took away a card, so you essentially gained +2 from that.
Yeah.
So in the end, it's still okay for SilentStorm.
And that's pretty good considering that Acolyte of Pain's not going to be that great of a draw as the game goes on.
Right, exactly.
So, I guess keeping the Acolyte and actually drawing both in this situation wasn't too bad.
Right. I mean, as much as you want more cards in general,
Yeah.
You're starting to hit the power turns. After this Sludge Belcher, you're going to want to hit whatever 6-drop you're playing, whether it's Cairn or Sylvanas, and then after that, you want to be threatening with Baron Geddon,
Yeah.
etc.
Such a tough turn to play into the second charge of Death Bite, so
Yeah.
playing Lotheb, bad, just going to get killed. Big Game Hunter, bad, just getting killed, and that's going to be a very useful card later on. So Echoing Ooze is really the only choice. At least one of them is going to survive if he decides to use that Death Bite charge. Or maybe not.
I think you should use it. You have a second weapon.
Yeah.
And then the Sludge Belcher is just a natural progression of things.
Yeah. I'd say this is actually a pretty decent hand here. It's got a lot of ways to deal with.
Ooze meet Sludge, Sludge meet Ooze.
Yep.
It's a natural David and Goliath story.
Lotheb's okay here. No, I don't even know.
Yeah, it's probably your best bet because your opponent doesn't have a lot of armor.
Yeah.
So he has to use Execute in order to get rid of it.
Yep.
And then it can immediately bully the board. It paves the way for a safer Ancient of Lore as well. Oh, man. I was not anticipating this. Because Force of Nature doesn't even go 1-for-1
Yeah.
with Sludge Belcher. You're giving all initiative to your opponent on board. Versus Lotheb, again, now your Ancient of Lore is not safe.
Yeah, I think he just really wanted to fit on curve there, which is just really awkward.
It's true. Sometimes playing on curve feels good, but you have to be thinking about the following turns, because now this Ancient actually is basically like a glorified Acolyte of Pain.
Yeah, or an Arcane
When
Intellect.
it could have been more, right?
Yeah.
It's not that it's bad, it's just that it has so much potential, man.
Yeah. And now the Warrior has complete control over the game right now, and
Yeah.
I mean he's got he's got Shield Block and Shield Slam to be able to deal with a big threat.
Yeah, and he's got some ways to gain armor. He's got Alexstrasza to put on pressure.
Yep. I mean, what would the situation be like for Connor now if he decided to play the Lotheb last turn?
So if he played the Lotheb on that turn, he would have had a 5-1 because he would have had to kill off both iterations of the Sludge Belcher. He
Yep.
would have had an Ancient of Lore. And then his opponent would be playing like Lotheb into the Ancient.
Yeah.
So then he's able to keep up more damage with the Lotheb. It'd be doing 5 more damage essentially.
Yeah, so he'd be the one that was making the
Right.
trades.
He'd be at lower health.
Yeah.
And be making the trades and stuff. On the converse, Now he plays Loatheb, his opponent can't shield block
Yeah.
easily. So
Yeah.
there are pros and cons, I guess, of both.
Yep. And so though this is a pretty awkward turn for him. I mean, he's got a handful of, again, situational cards: Big Game Hunter, Keeper, Defender of Argus. All require, well, don't require, but you pretty much have to have a separate condition to be able to play those efficiently. And Loatheb, I mean, there's not too much that's going to block here.
Loatheb Shade is usually the best combination possible with, at least when it comes to Shade and Naxxramas, because then they can't easily remove it.
Yeah.
Unless he has Baron get in.
Or Whirlwind. He would kill off his. He would kill off his own.
Sir,
Cruel
I like
Taskmaster.
the way you think.
But I think that trading your, it would basically be like trading your Cruel Taskmaster and an additional card to completely clear the board. And
right.
Against the Druid, I think that's actually pretty worth it for in a Warrior's case, especially since he has a lot of ways to deal with anything else that's going to come out. He's just got so many options. I just think that that's the only play that makes much sense this turn.
It's not too bad. Cool Taskmaster getting sacrificed is okay.
Yeah, he did his job. Because I mean, what else is he going to do?
Block. I mean,
mana shield block?
Shield block gains life. You trade.
You can Whirlwind and
or
still
you kill
gain
off
a
the
little bit of life.
opponent's left. Well, if you shield block, it's because you want to Alexstrasza next turn.
Yeah.
And you can't shield block next turn. So if you don't shield block now, then you won't get shield block until 2 turns from now. So this also makes a lot of sense as well.
Yeah, that's true. If he did the Whirlwind play, then he'd be playing directly into... no, he would have been at... He would have taken 4 damage and armored up, or 5 damage and armored up, so he'd be at exactly 14 health. So he wouldn't have...
Oh, would he?
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. So that would have been actually a disastrous play.
Yeah. So,
Good
yeah,
catch,
this
good
is
catch.
actually the better play. As much as I'd like to see that Whirlwind, as much as I hate those
well,
pesky
it's
shades.
because we hate Shade and Naxxramas.
Yep. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Innkeeper, for that friendly reminder.
Yeah, it's like Smokey the Bear, but Hearthstone version.
Yep. I didn't even know that at first. I lost many games before the Innkeeper came in and started telling me.
It's not something that's naturally intuitive. It's like, well, it doesn't have taunt officially, but at the same time, then they just play Ogre Ninja and they attack it anyways.
Yeah.
50% chance.
You think that card will see play?
Yeah, I think so. For better or for worse.
So efficient.
I want to see Mogre the Ogre, because that card is hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
The troll levels on that card are over 9,000.
There's a lot of cards that have pretty high troll levels. Oh, he's taking this sweet time on this turn.
I think we're attacking here just because you're shredding down the armor, you're reducing the effectiveness of Shield Slam. Yes, the Shade dies, but you're okay if he just clears it. And again, he's taking damage right back.
Yeah.
So you're getting closer to combo.
I think this is a pretty big deal. Well, actually, I don't think it matters that much what comes out.
Well, it takes less damage, I guess.
Brings him closer. That's best case scenario.
Oh, he can actually armor up Shield Slam this too. Actually, that was a really big deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because the Keeper actually had 5 health still. So.
That's right. So he keeps the charge, which is important for the Gromosh.
Definitely.
And now he's got the 3-card combination. He's got the Alexstrasza and the Gromosh with the Death Spike.
So he's in a pretty good spot here. He's going to block some damage. And oh, wow. Okay, so that's a big turn. Puts it out of the Death Bite range for just being able to kill it with that Death Rattle. This is pretty awkward.
Well, unless he uses Whirlwind.
Unless he uses Whirlwind. Also an option. He could Alexstrasza and still be able to clear off the Black Knight this turn. But then he wouldn't have the Death Bite charge for the Gromosh the next time around. And he wouldn't have the Whirlwind either.
That's true.
Still has 1 Cruel Taskmaster left in his deck, I do believe. So he still has 1 activator left for the Gromosh.
Can he play around combo at all anymore?
Sledge Belcher.
Yeah, that's true. So he can kill this off, Whirlwind, Sledge Belcher.
Yeah. Okay. But I think that's the... Oh, no.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, Gromosh to remove as well.
Yep. So.
But then this is where BGH is like,
what's
gonna shut down.
up?
Oh my God! The fastest insta call you've ever seen in Hearthstone. But he drew a second innervate, and that is bad news for Connor.
He ended his turn before we even got to switch over to the screens. It felt like that big Game Hunter was played last turn.
Yep.
Right.
And with Alex Straza and no ability to respond to it, that might lock Connor out of this game.
Yeah, double Innervate in your hand is not something that you want. And he already used a Force of Nature, so...
Does not feel good.
Nope. I mean, you have to do this, but still feels pretty gross.
Yeah. I mean, looks like Connor's gonna be sitting toast for a while. Now, you Alex Straza yourself, right? Or, I mean, how ham with you are you willing to go?
Oh, yeah. Because
you
you're
might have
still dead to
combo.
combo, and since
Exactly.
all he did last turn was swipe your Sledge Belcher,
Precisely.
you got to know that something's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, those Innervates could very well be a Savage Roar and another Force of Nature, so...
But you also Axe Malfurion in the neck as well. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bad draw.
Wow. Yeah, he really needed
Oh,
an
that
impactful
is
draw this turn.
that is one of the poorest draws you could ever have seen from the Druid here, because he already has both of his Innervates. It doesn't get much worse than that.
Yep.
And SilentStorm looks like he is going to be climbing, and unless, barring a catastrophe, he is going to be sitting in a really good spot
Well,
to take this game and get a serious advantage.
he has to throw this something into this Haunter Creeper here.
I just axe it down
Yeah.
and then armor up. Now, if his opponent... Okay, so if he gets rid of this taunt, he still can do... If he picks up, like, Savage Roar number 2, and then can he innervate double
Yeah.
combo? Oh,
Yeah.
Well, never mind. He picked up that Queen Goose.
He needed to get either the second
Right.
Savage Roar or the second Force of Nature on that turn.
But he's dead now just on board alone, so
Yep.
he can't actually do much. And Connor probably should just end the game here and not reveal any more information.
Yeah. I mean, he has a pretty good idea of what's in his deck already, but still.
Wow. Check this out, man. Warriors beating Druid.
This is actually pretty surprising. Now, I think that this Druid is a little bit easier than the true mid-range Druid, because I think it's a little bit easier for
Instead of
Warriors.
faster Druid.
Yeah, the Echoing Oozes and Haunted Creepers are actually, I think, pretty easy to deal with Deathbite and stuff.
Sure.
It's sort of just like a natural progression of the game where sometimes the Haunted Creepers just end up dying and you're like, oh, how did he die?
Yeah.
So, but definitely well played there. And SilentStorm taking his first victory of the day, which could be a pretty big momentum swing for him.
It's a bad matchup, too. So
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
It's a victory that he tucks under his belt saying, yeah, this was actually something I didn't expect. And you know what? I'm happy for it. And now we move on to two other decks, whether it's Mage or Shaman.
Yeah.
And then Hunter on the opposite side, he just has to dodge that.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we still have the Warrior for Connor. So we're going to have some interesting matchups. I personally would like to see how well the Mage does against Warrior.
Yeah.
Just because I know that Warrior has an advantage over Freeze Mage, especially with a lot of direct damage compared to Armor. But I always wonder how those Giants do.
Yeah, the Giants matchup makes it a little bit better in the Mage's favor, just because you're not just so one-dimensional in the fact that, hey, you're just drawing through your whole deck to get spells.
Right, but does it even it out at all? Does it mean instead of 10 to 90, is it 30 to 70, or is it closer to 50-50? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't played too much of that matchup specifically.
Yeah, Control War is by far my most played, but I can't say that I played against many Giants Mages, so...
Right.
Oh, it's 50-50 because I played against two and won one and lost one.
Sure.
There you go.
Well, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. Instead, it's Warrior versus Shaman. And then, well, Connor gets the Hunter versus the Mage, but, another question I ask is, how many flares is he running?
I don't know. I think we saw one. Actually, I'm sure we saw one.
That was from...
Or was that from?
That was from Shao.
Okay.
Yep.
So we'll definitely have to see there, but I think it's going to be a big deal depending. You're sort of relying on drawing into that flare to be able to counteract them.
Right.
The
I was
ice
actually
block.
talking to, who is it? Was it Raynat or was it Strifecrow? I was talking about how Freeze Mage is actually not that bad against Hunter functionally. The only thing that you struggle with are chargers like Huffer.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just 2 damage a turn. And if they ever pop Ice Barrier at all to give you plus health, it offsets 4 turns of hero power. So it's in fact, if they don't have Flare, we agreed that it actually favors the Mage a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it's Well, if they have Flare, though, it drops your win percentage by like 40%. It's like, oh, okay, well.
It's pretty ridiculous, though, how much the matchup is dependent on that one card.
Right.
And how much the matchup is influenced by having 2 flares or 1 flare.
Sure, because you only can
hunter.
get rid of one ice block versus another opportunity.
Or just more chances to draw into it earlier on.
Sure,
and being able to get rid of the ice block on a turn where you could have like guaranteed lethal or something like that. So.
All right, well, we'll worry about that when time comes. In the meantime, we have Shaman versus Warrior. I always do that, by the way. I'm sorry. I always get excited about the future, and then I ignore.
You know what, Frodan? I'm always excited about the future.
Yeah, I'm very forward thinking. It scares off some people.
Not me.
Good. You're a keeper.
I'll balance it out. I'll be backwards thinking.
Good. All right. So then maybe we'll just never talk about this game then.
Yeah.
So what do you think he did wrong last game?
Yeah. Man, let's pause this cast and go back to game number 1 of today.
SilentStorm versus KXN. Well, KXN drew Undertaker and SilentStorm didn't. All right.
Yeah,
Great analysis.
If you think back to turn 3 in game number 1. No. Okay, getting back into this game.
Ooh,
a lot of people were pretty adamant, at least maybe a month ago, saying that Shaman is actually a pretty tough matchup for Warrior. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, but you have weapons. I think the weapons are the big key factor here. People look at Barongeddon, they look at Brawl, even Whirlwind as like the key influencers.
Yeah.
But I think weapons are the big ones because it controls the board enough to the point where Sludge Belcher challenges like anything that comes down.
Yeah.
And then you have to like hex Sludge Belcher where you're like, oh, I don't even have anything business doing the even dealing with Sludge Belcher, let alone hexing it.
Yeah.
So. I don't know. I personally like having a Fiery War Axe and a Death Spite opening. I think it's really powerful.
Yeah, I see a lot of people that do complain about it. It's really tough to balance using your weapons as removal for like totems.
Sure.
Because it really is not very fun to have to use like a Fiery War Axe charge on a Stoneclaw totem, especially if they get it a couple times in a row and you have to use your entire weapon just clearing out totem taunts that he pretty much gets for free.
This is how much he values Earthshock, by the way, to disable so many death battle effects.
Yeah.
He's willing to lightning bolt
An
lightning bolt the Acolyte and give up a card while also giving up mana for the next turn.
What is he saving it for? What could you use an Earthshock on?
There's
in
just
the
so
future?
many things.
Sledge Belcher.
There's Sludge Belchers. There's Sylvanas. There's Cairns.
Oh yeah, Sylvanas as well.
Just there's not enough silence in the world for a warrior deck.
Well, do Control Warriors usually run Sylvanas and Cairn? Or sometimes?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I don't think we've seen Cairn today because Cairn's generally too slow.
I think Cairn is way too slow, especially in this tournament format.
Right. But
It's way too
general,
greedy.
if they might have one or the other, you have to keep it just for the off chance that they have.
Yeah, definitely.
Hex on such. So he's playing a tempo game here. SilentStorm is very insistent on saying, I value my board no matter what.
Yeah.
And Sludge Belcher is just way too threatening.
Yeah.
And as a result, Connor's never been able to develop his weapons here at all.
Yeah. He's still having to put threats on the board. This Lothep's going to stick pretty well.
His card range has been outrageous.
Oh, not really. He actually has the Fire Elemental, so that's a pretty decent curve, I'd say. Perfect answer to Lothep, really, because he doesn't even have to use any spells to clear it off. So playing on curve well. He's actually got card draw in his hand, so he's not going to run out of steam too quickly.
Save the Earthshock for this one.
Yep.
I think this Gnomish Adventure was actually a really good draw. You save that Hex for Ragnarok.
Yeah. But still, drawing that earlier on to be able to deal with the threat faster, I think is pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. Especially because that's a second Hex, and that's going to be unexpected.
Oh, he's actually going to use the Hex. Oh, he's thinking about it.
I mean,
he is very conservative with that Earthshock. What is he saving it for?
It's going to be a way to get past taunts, I guess. It's going to be like an Earthshock to pressure for a win.
Yeah.
So SilentStorm is playing this tempo from beginning to end. And I mean, these are plays that didn't even cross my mind. And look at Connor because he has so many weapons. But he doesn't have a way to effectively clear this board, and this Fire Elemental is going to be already hitting for 18 damage plus.
Yeah, and this is the situation when I was talking about. If you don't remove those Stoneclaw totems earlier on, it gets to the point where you're at this stage, you don't have a board.
Right.
Your hand is literally full of weapons. 4 out of his, 7 cards are weapons?
Yeah.
And that's just really awkward to deal with.
This is such a cool game being played by Silent, by the way. He's a guy who I feel like I've seen a lot of his Shaman games.
Yeah.
And it's a deck that probably speaks to him a little bit more than others. So overall, he's been showing me, and if this works, I mean, it can completely fail.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, well, that didn't actually work out that well. But it's like a cool way to play this matchup that I haven't seen be so aggressive. Because Shaman's so board-oriented. He's not. He's playing tempo-oriented instead.
Yeah, I like this style, though. And you can tell by how fast he's making these turns that he's just really play style.
Yeah. Seems like he's played this time, like this way multiple times over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Well, I think that was the best course of action for him because he has ways.
Oh, that is a big draw right now.
Ouch. That completely puts a dent in, I'm sure, what Connor was planning on for the next turn.
Sure. I mean, at this stage, you're not playing around Brawl, right? Because the payoff for it is so high.
Yeah.
Although, I'm not sure. I mean, this is SilentStorm's game, and he's been showing evidence to the contrary. But I like Feral Spirits.
Yeah.
He's going to hold off the Manti Totem just on the off chance of Brawl, though. So he's going to make this play a little bit.
Yeah. This is sort of in the middle of playing conservatively and playing aggressively. But this is just sort of the style that he's been going with. And just protecting that fire elemental is such a huge deal. Brawl is the only answer that you can hope for here as the warrior.
Exactly. So if he doesn't have Brawl now, it's like, well, he doesn't have Brawl, period.
Yeah.
Because Brawl with a weapon shot here clears the board.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you do here as Connor? Do you just throw down the rag and just pray? Because, I mean, what else are you going to do in this situation? You still have 3 weapons in your hands.
Well, let's see.
You could utilize the Death Rattle from the Death Bite while still being able to put on a Fiery War Axe, and so you could Death Rattle.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
I think you do rag. You already used 2 hexes.
Yeah.
You're worried about Flame Tongue Totem, but that's a way to clear the board. And an Alexstrasza, in case when you get low health, you need to take the 1 in 5 chance to snipe the Fire Elemental.
Yeah.
The only alternative is to use a defensive approach with Cruel Taskmaster, weaponing and armoring up, but I don't like that at all.
No. Because there's so many conditions where if you do that, your opponent can push for so much damage the following turn. You sort of have to take this risk.
Man.
Well, that's second best, I guess.
Is that lethal? No, that's going to be just a little short. He's 1 damage off lethal. Hoo-hoo.
No. Yeah, 13 damage.
Yeah. Okay. So, how does he play this turn? Is he going to trade for the Ragnaros here, or is he just going to push for damage?
Push for damage.
Puts him at 1?
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
What is he planning on Earthshocking? Oh, his own Stoneclaw Totem?
No.
Yeah. Give him the option to get a taunt.
Oh, my God. I didn't see that.
Whoa!
Whoa, of course.
Whoosh.
Oh, that was clever.
That went straight over my head.
Oh, yeah, of course we forget about the Earthshock. It's like, oh, well, what is the Earthshock here? That's real. That's bravo. Well played, SilentStorm. He was happy to see that, man.
For some reason, I thought that Stoneclaw was summoned that turn, but I guess it wasn't. No? Wow, okay.
Silenced, man. It was attacking.
Awesome. Yeah.
Bravo.
Well, he baffled us, and just really impressive play from SilentStorm there.
That was sexy. I like it. And you know what? I think it's rewarding to... It's very rewarding for him personally because he's also bringing not Hunter, not Warlock, to be able to see a pretty impressive play. Something that's not completely obvious.
You have to have a lot of experience on Shaman to be able to recognize a play like that.
Sure.
And I remember seeing a puzzle about that on Reddit a long time ago, saying, "Hey, spot the lethal in this situation," and not many people could get it. And it was, you have to Earthshock your own totem to be able to get an additional damage out from your Flame Tongue Totem, and that's the exact situation that we fell in.
That's clever, man. I really like that one.
And I was saying, how is he going to find this 1 damage? Earthshock face? But no, he can actually utilize the Earthshock, and technically that damage went to face. So very well played by SilentStorm.
Yep. Now, what's interesting to note is what was so particular about that situation? The Taunt Totem needs to be at 1 health.
Well, he had Spell Power Totem.
No, because it would have Oh, wait, you're right. Because there's a situation where Trump had the similar thing, but he had to kill off his own Spell Power Totem because he silenced it first. It only did 1 damage to it.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
Because I remember seeing that in a highlight reel when I was laughing. I was like, oh, man, that's really sad because you think the same situation.
Yeah.
All right, you're right.
No, but that still, though, crazy play. And, I mean...
Well done.
Yeah.
Moving on to Hunter versus Mage here. The Mage deck, like we said, I don't know how it functions against this Hunter specifically because you don't often see mages being played on ladder that often.
Yeah.
But when you do, like, how much does Molten Giants play and affect the same way that Handlock can fight against Hunter if they get pressured too much?
Yeah, it's something that you really have to deal with. But at the same time, usually, I mean, it so much depends on the flare. I hate to say that so much, but even against this one, it depends on when you draw that flare, because even if you get to that point where you're getting to, hey, I'm getting to that Molten Giant turn, how much damage can you actually put out in that type of situation? Oh yeah, and Connor's deck is actually the
Charger.
The Charger,
this
yeah.
one's going to be actually really hard to win against. In fact, when SilentStorm sees this deck, I say that he's never going to play Mage in the series ever again, because this is too much of a threat.
Yeah,
you can't stop Chargers.
It's way too risky. Because usually that Mage relies on reacting to what your opponent plays and being able to react to the amount of damage that's on the board. But when something's having an immediate effect on your health total, it's just so hard, because you have to sort of play reactively the whole game, and you can never sort of catch up and get what you want out, clear the board, or stop the board from attacking, and do something else like develop your secrets and stuff like that. So really tough situation.
All right. Well, one thing that I really like mulliganing for against Hunter is actually Doomsayer for turn 2, because I like to just drop Doomsayer
Tempo
on
play.
turn 2. Exactly, and then like they can't actually do anything.
Yeah.
And that usually paves the way for either Mad Scientist or Acolyte of Pain, etc.
Yeah.
This is a decent curve, but it's so weak to Mage. Like, actually, Mage can just sit on their hero power alone. I mean, this is like not that strong of an opening, honestly.
Yeah.
You trade the coin in for 1 damage, which is fine.
Yeah, everything that he's going to play here is just going to get eaten up by that.
Yep.
How long is he going to hold on to this Mad Scientist, though?
Well, I mean, you can just keep using your hero power, and then your Mad Scientist can come down on turn 4.
Yep.
It's the same exact concept as just being able to play as a warrior. You just play with your life as high as possible against Hunter. This is where it gets tricky, though, because it's like, well, he's just going to be doing charge damage from the hand, and you can't actually stop that.
Yeah. Still, though, just clearing the board every turn with your hero power actually feels pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. It's the same as drawing cards, essentially.
Yep.
Except every card you draw is a deal 1 damage.
It's like an Elven Archer every turn.
Yeah, essentially. Well,
an Elven Archer that doesn't put on the board.
Well, it kills itself.
A suicidal Elven Archer. Or Stone Tusk Boar.
Stone Tusk Boar. I still think that Mage is going to be in a really tough spot, though.
Well, he's got both Molten Giants here.
He's got tracking as well to dig for flare.
But he's got the one ice block in his hand already, and he's got the Mad Scientist. So, I mean, counterspell. We saw the counterspell earlier.
Oh, you're right. There is a counterspell.
What other? He's got a tracking though. That tracking actually could be a big deal. And depending on how much he paid attention to the games earlier on, if he knows that counterspell, if he sees a secret, he might actually test for it with a spell.
I forgot about counterspell, and that was purposely put in. You know for sure that was purposely put in by SilentStorm to counteract against Hunter's Flare.
Yep. It's just the game of counters.
Wow, SilentStorm is actually really clever. The more I think about like how he built his decks.
Yeah.
I'm quickly becoming a fan of this guy, man.
Yeah. I'm actually really surprised, judging by these plays that he made, that he fell so quickly in the first matchup.
Yeah. You know, like the more I think about it, Firebat was hyping this guy a lot.
Okay.
Like, he was like saying, "Yeah, SilentStorm is great." When we asked him like about the quality of, like, we're like, "Hey, Firebat, what do you think about like these two guys? Do you know them at all?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, SilentStorm is really good." So
yeah.
I believe it.
Yep. Well, this is not the greatest of hands here, and maybe it's, well, I guess you would put the web spinners in regardless.
He wants damage in.
Yeah.
You know, getting him to 17 as opposed to like overkilling it for 4. That's interesting. Now he has counterspell when he chooses to.
I don't know if that's such a good thing though, because his hand is sort of full of secrets now. So he's not going to get.
Yeah. Well, you're right, but
I'm sure he still runs 2 ice
But now,
blocks,
like, I guess you'd want to time your counterspell.
Yeah.
But then you want Ice Block to be put into play.
Yeah.
From Mad Scientist. So at least it's like he doesn't get counterspell and then he just arcane shots and counterspell gets useless.
Yeah. Oh, but this deck is actually pretty spell heavy for Hunter, so Again, this deck is actually pretty good against. This is a really.
I think I'd take Ironbeak Owl here, don't you? Because
Yeah.
Ironbeak Owl is really useful against the freeze
Yeah.
mechanics. Not to mention, in case he has like, I think he's indicated that he's a freeze mage, and
Yep.
they sometimes have like Sludge Belcher and Duplicate. So.
Yeah. Or even just like a Doomsayer.
Oh yeah, true. Doomsayer as well.
So if there's always a situation where if your opponent thinks they have a
I
really
guess
nice
even
board
now
board.
taking out their secret.
Oh yeah, that's true as well. I don't think. Well, I'm not sure if he minds that too much, just because of how full his hand is of secrets right now. But
Sure.
again, that's going to be
Well-
mana that he's not able to use towards doing other things. To
I think he does mind the grand scheme of things, but
maybe
yeah,
a little.
just a tiny bit. Does he kill? Does he use his bow at all? Kill off the acolyte? Guess so. Just deny him draws.
Yeah. Well, we're getting closer to these mountain giants, and how much do you think he'll play around this? Do you think he? I mean, I guess if he was watching earlier, he would have seen the molten giants being played or in the hand. So
He's got an ice block now for sure, though.
yeah,
The nice thing is that he does have the counter spells at the same time too. So if he can double molten, counter spell, and then freeze his opponent with like ice, like Frostbolt or something, he could go for some super powerful plays. And he's got Frost Nova as well.
yeah,
I didn't see that. He just drew it. There's a way for SilentStorm to win this for sure.
yeah. This is going to be a really explosive. Does he use?
I mean, it's
Oh,
more
no.
mana, right? And he
Yeah.
has Beast on the board, so he's thinking about getting it now because he has Arcane Shot. But
Yeah.
that invokes the wrath of more Molten Giants.
Either one that he uses here makes free molten giants,
Man.
and he's going to push for full damage here. Brings him to 5 health.
Okay, like this is gonna. This is so funny how it's been working every time that Molten Giants come out here.
He's
So-
got Frostbolt, double Ice Lance in his.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so here, double Molten Giant,
You just
Frost Nova, counter spell.
You can double molten giant and even Antonidas, and
But you need a counter spell here to protect your flare.
oh yeah, that's true.
So you counter spell, which leaves you 4 mana. That means I guess you Frost Nova to prevent any opportunity for your opponent to pop your ice block, because you want to protect your ice block as long as you can.
He's only on 7 mana still, so. Do you use the Frostbolt here? In the Ice Lance, or do you can even just. Well, I don't know.
I really like counter spell to protect your flare.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, the other way around.
to protect your secret from the flare.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Then I don't mind Frost Nova, but I guess he's gonna try to play it as greedy as possible. But that means his Icebox gonna get popped.
Yep.
You know what? His thinking, it's Icebox can get popped anyways.
Yeah.
Because he needs that damage, right? 16 damage with the Molten Giants plus. How much damage? This is 11, so that's 27.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exact damage. With the hero power.
So he's got.
He's dead. He's got him. He heroes him pound because he's got 27. He's got 28
my
damage
gosh.
next turn. Because he's got double Ice Lance with Frostbolt.
Yep.
SilentStorm actually calculated perfectly for this, and as long as there wasn't a hunter's mark of some kind.
You can see a little cheeky smile on his face right now. He knows that it's coming.
Whoa! This kid is good.
And-
Wow, I am so impressed with how this has been played all throughout. And he's going to take this series 3-0, and unfortunately for Connor, he's going to have to go home empty-handed today.
Yeah, and that just shows that mage deck in action. I mean, that was turn 9 that he did
That
that
was
on.
effectively an OTK
Yeah.
setup.
Exactly. And
Oh, man.
wow, just very impressed right now. And exact lethal. Exact lethal. Wow. So that mage deck finally doing some work here.
Yeah.
A little underwhelming in the first series, but this one,
happens.
that just really shows how strong it is. And especially that counterspell. The more you think about it, the more how intelligent that choice actually is to put into your deck. And a duplicate, we thought, oh, duplicate would probably be great with the Molten Giants.
Yeah, for sure. I think SilentStorm's a clear favorite here to go into the second place spot.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does depend on what happens between Xiao and KZN, or
Yeah.
KXN, excuse
Yeah.
me. But at the same time, it's like, I think if KXN goes up against SilentStorm, he also has an advantage too because he knows Giants are in the deck. So
Yeah.
when you know Molten Giants are in it, you can play around them a lot better.
Yep.
The only exception is if KXN goes through, and then we have Xiao who plays against SilentStorm, who's the third person who doesn't know there's Molten Giants,
Yeah.
and invokes the wrath. Because again, if he knew that there were Molten Giants out, he probably would have held back that damage a little bit.
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. And that counterspell just adds that little extra dynamic to it as well. Even if you play around Molten Giants, you still have to try and play around the counterspell as well. And sometimes if you play around Molten Giants, you're in a situation where you're playing right into the hands of counterspell because that means you're holding back burst in your hand, which burst, I mean, for hunters is most of the time going to be like kill command. So it's just really smart play from him. And being 3-0'd in the first series, I really didn't expect this coming in, but really impressed with this play in the last 2 games.
Well done. And you know what? Also, Oja, well done at Connor. Even though he loses his first 2 series, he got to the top 4 in the Challenger Cup in the first place, so hopefully we get to see him back again.
Yeah.
And, I think we'll have more opportunities for him for sure, especially because we have great sponsors for the league that's able to keep us continuing our broadcast as well. Make sure to check out ESL.gg/Newegg Esports, as well as /Legendary Series to find out all information about the league, about our partners, about the people that make this possible. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, another Hearthstone series best of 5 here, hosted by ESL America.